despite Wednesday night's late turnaround against Atalanta. Paul Scholes is across the back pages this morning. He says that United players don't respect Solskjaer like the Liverpool players have the utmost for Klopp. Trev, does Ollie command the respect of the United players, or is he still a bit of a pal?
No, I think he's lost that tag of pal. He's brought players in as manager. I think his recruitment's been good. I think when you first get into management, you have a few situations where you find that little tussle between being an ex-player, friend of the players, and a coach, and more of a mentor, more disciplinarian, rule maker. And I think Ollie's well and truly over that now. I think the way that he comes across in the media, for me, he talks like a manager. He understands the complexities with that relationship with players. But most of the players that Ollie played with have finished now. So I think he's definitely the manager. I think Scholes said that. I think you can only take what Scholes said seriously if Scholes got his boots on, got the grass under his boots every day with the lads in the training room. And if you see that and you think, yeah, he's a bit too pally, as a coach and as a partner of his, you'd have a word with him. So I think Scholes he's thrown some out there. But for me, I think the players do respect him. And the fact that they've been in this position so many times, you look at them, how many times have they been in it and you thought, United are under pressure. If they lose these next couple of games, Ollie could be out.
Yeah.
The players run through big walls to get that result for him. Atalanta was no different. 2-0 down, up against it. Everyone's thinking, oh, this could be the beginning of the end for Ollie. They go away and they win the game. Ronaldo produces last... Again, fantastic finish by Ronaldo. Great header. But they've done that time and time again. So for Scholes to say that the players don't respect him, I think that's a bit strong.
How'd you see the game going the weekend, Trev? Liverpool in great form.
Yeah, I mean, Liverpool outstanding. I think they were a little bit lucky against Atletico, but they got the right result. Again, great spirit shown by their players. I think they were fortunate with the sending off because it looked like Atletico had the bit between the teeth and they really fancied that game. But you look at the quality going forward and, Mo Salah, Firmino getting his hat-trick. I think that you'd look at it and you say Liverpool are going to be favourites. They're right up there, top of the table or second. They've been excellent form this season. I think there's been a few chinks, especially in that game against Atletico with the defence. I think Virgil van Dijk, he's shown a couple of little cracks in his armour where he's probably not back to the same level that he was before his injury. But in general, you'd say Liverpool would fancy going there and winning the game. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if Manchester United won that game because this is what Manchester United do under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
I got the feeling Sam Matterface, he was talking about Liverpool battering United.
At the moment, Trev, they've got. Do you put Liverpool's front three the best in the league at the moment?
Well, considering Manchester City haven't got a front one, that they play with false players, I think you'd have to say they are. I mean, Mo Salah, he's breaking records left, right, and centre. He's been called potentially the best player in the world. It's difficult to disagree with that. I think Firmino plays his part. Jota does a job. I've always been a huge fan of Mane, and they're all firing. What it's like, Ray. If you're playing in a forward position in the pitch, and you can see the goals left, right and centre, which Liverpool were last season, all of a sudden you get a little bit anxious, you rush your shots, you've not got the composure, you've not got the confidence. That's what happened with Liverpool last year. Now they're much better defensively, they've got the big players back, they look like a much better unit. All of a sudden, that swagger's come back to the front 3 or 4, and they're starting to do the business, and starting to be clinical. And yeah, I think Liverpool are serious contenders this year.
It's going to be a cracker. Just at the other end, Trev, I was looking at tables, and by the way, we're not in November yet.
No.
But look, Norwich are struggling, we know that. Newcastle's run of games are just horrendous coming up. Will they get a lift when they give a new manager? We don't know. Burnley are down there. Leeds United are beginning to worry me, Trev.
Yeah, it's been concern, hasn't it? Especially last week. I think if you were looking at their run of games, you would have looked at last week and probably earmarked that for 3 points. They got 0. It's a really poor loss for them. And Bielsa, listen, we know what they're going to bring. They're going to bring energy. They're going to bring... I think that's quite harsh, actually, just talking about their energetic play, because they have got players that over the last season, I thought technically, and that little bit of guile, that little bit of understanding of how to play in the Premier League, they learnt a lot last year. But there's certainly been a really poor start for Leeds. And I would imagine the manager, the players are starting to get a concern themselves.
But Leeds, I do like the way they play. I don't think they're ever going to change their tactics. People can argue, they've got a plan B. They're very much intensity, isn't it? I mean, pressing. Bamford's been out at times, isn't he? Not playing, lacking a few goals here and there. But I still think they'll have enough, though, Al.
Yeah, trust the process. They're fit boys, aren't they? And they have got enough about them. You can see that from last season's performances. Yeah. But it's all about this season now.
Well, absolutely. And the league doesn't lie. If you're down that bottom, then you've got problems to worry about. So, but if they can get a couple of results, get that belief back, I think the fans will play their part as well at Ellen Road.
I tell you, it was interesting as well. Talking to Gabby yesterday, he kept picking up on Manchester United, the way they line up, and he talked about the wing backs. Wan-Bissaka, he was getting a bit of stick. I don't know what you think about him, Trev. And also, I think it's Gary Neville talking about Declan Rice again would be brilliant just in front of the two centre backs. Now that makes sense to me. First of all, Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah, I think Juan's struggling a little bit because going forward, I think we've always known that he wasn't the finished article. He's still a young player, but that part of his game in the final third, you look at the opposite side, sure, he's involved in a lot going down the left-hand side for Manchester United. He's got the quality. We've seen that with England, with Manchester United. I think down the right, especially when you're playing two holding midfielders, as Manchester United do sometimes, I think you've got to have better quality down the right-hand side. And Wan-Bissaka, for whatever reason, I'm sure he's doing a lot of individual work with the coaches at Manchester United. His end product, it just doesn't seem there. The pace that he's got, he should be able to play little 1-2s, getting balls into that second 6-yard box, feeding Ronaldo. It just doesn't happen regularly enough. And then holding midfield, Fred, I think McTominay's a good footballer, but Fred struggles, I think, for his creativity. I've said it a few times. Manchester United didn't need a right winger, and they didn't need a experienced centre forward in Ronaldo, because they had Edison Cavani and they had an already young prospect. I can't even call him a prospect anymore, in Mason Greenwood, who was doing the business and developing really well. What they needed was a right back. They were talking about Kieran Trippier, and they needed a holding midfielder. They were talking about Declan Rice. Now, if you had them two players in the Manchester United team, I don't think Manchester United have any problems at all. Yeah, they don't have any problems at all. But for me, the recruitment was wrong for Manchester United.
Well, they had to take Ronaldo, surely.
I know
Man City was in for him, and he said, "Look, I'm not going to go Man City." And when there was an opportunity for Manchester United to go and to get Ronaldo, they had to make that move.
But you look at the knock-on effect from that now. So Ronaldo's gone in. Edinson Cavani, what's he doing there? Because he's not going to play in front of Ronaldo. You've also got Rashford, who's now back in the mix. So Edinson Cavani is almost like surplus to requirements.
It'd be interesting to see what happens during January, whether Cavani moves on somewhere. Because he can still do a great job somewhere. And lots of people need strikers.
Arsenal?
He's fit as a flea, and his performances last season were superb. He should really feel quite hard done by, because he's done exactly what he said he would do when he went to Manchester United. He's done the business. He's set the standards for the rest of the team, the way he presses out of possession. He was great for Manchester United last season.
And at his age, he ain't going to sit out every week, is he?
Listen, he knows he's not got many years to go, so he wants to play football. I'd be very surprised if he didn't leave, unless there's injuries at Manchester United.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Alan Brazil. Thursday and Friday morning, 6 till 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.